Hey there, now the only reason I went to see this film was because I wanted to review it, so I hope you appreciate the effort because the experience was honestly traumatizing. And I'm not saying this because of the film, strangely, but because of the audience. Okay, so most of the people in the room were hysterical, screaming teenage girls, who, if I didn't know any better, I could say they were tripping on acid or something. And some of their boyfriends who obviously had their asses dragged in there, and they looked more miserable than orphan puppy dogs left in the rain. My heart was bleeding for them, man, it's true. Now on to the actual film. You may have a shock. It wasn't that awful. Now don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that it was a good movie or anything, but compared to the other two, it was a definite improvement. On a scale from 1 to 10, by 10 meaning like multiple orgasm, and by 1 meaning that you just want to run home and shoot your mother for ever giving birth to you, I was oscillating between a 4 and a 6 throughout the film. Which is amazing considering that I thought it's gonna be so bad I'm gonna be sticking needles in my eyes by the end of it. But yeah, it wasn't the case. The dialogues are somewhat better and so is the acting. Even if Bella still has that constant expression on her face like someone just farted right next to her. I cannot tell if it's Kristen Stewart's fault or if someone is instructing her to play this part like this, but yeah, until I see her in some other movies I'm gonna give her the benefit of the doubt. Edward is still as loathsome as ever. His character is obnoxious beyond words. He wears more makeup than Bella and I don't even wanna know how much he spends on hairspray. And then we have Jacob the werewolf, who continues to be too sexy for his shirt. But you know what? At least this time the movie is self-ironic about it.
Doesn't he own a shirt?
I actually liked Jacob's part and the performance. He seems to be pretty much the only character who acts like a real person. I also like how he added this cockiness to his personality.
Hey, who's the grin, Jacob? We're just going for a ride.
Hold on tight.
There is some improvement in the plot and storyline as well. Victoria is back and wants revenge. And for this purpose she is creating an army of brand new vampires. They call them newborns, but we'll just call them noobs. And apparently this movie decided that the noobs are physically much stronger in their first months than regular vampires. Would you please stop changing the fucking rules already? Vampires are supposed to get stronger with age. What the shit is this nonsense? As if it wasn't bad enough that after centuries of building up the myth of the bloodthirsty monsters who combust in the sunlight, here comes this writer bitch and turns them into glittery vegetarian pussies. I am upset. It's not even funny. Anywho, Victoria and the army of noobs are after Bella because Edward killed Victoria's lover, so now she wants to kill Bella's ass and get even. There are some pretty well-made chase scenes, even if on some occasions I think the editing could have been better. The camera focuses too much on individual close-ups and you kinda lose the context of the scenery. But I don't wanna be too picky, the fight scenes were pretty well done, particularly between vampires and werewolves. Though it was annoying that they had to keep it PG-13. Where is Blade when you need him? Oh, I know, he's probably just passed out from laughing too hard when he heard that these vampires sparkle. Visually speaking, the chromatics are very vivid. And I like how they contrasted the fairy tale-like landscapes on some occasions with the dark and sinister feeling on others, suiting the atmosphere of the scenes. The Volturi played a small but interesting part in the plot, spreading a bit of mystery with their dubious intentions.
Decisions.
A lot of time is dedicated to this Bella, Edward, Jacob love triangle, which I didn't appreciate, partly because the dialogues between them are cheesy and melodramatic as all hell, and partly because this threesome theme is obviously exploited to agitate the teenage audience. It's just too transparent. You got Bella kissing Edward in front of Jacob. Then you got Bella hugging Jacob in front of Edward. Then you have Edward and Jacob having heated arguments in front of Bella. All this culminating with the three of them spending the night together in a tent, where Jacob must warm Bella up in front of Edward since she was cold and vampires don't have body heat and werewolves are literally hot. The audience reactions at this particular scene were so goddamn annoying. I was hoping that Edward and Jacob would throw her sorry ass out in the cold and just go Brokeback Mountain in that tent. Now that would have been a twist. The most pathetic scene happens in bed with Bella and Edward, when she practically begs him to have sex with her, but he refuses because he's concerned about the safety of her immortal soul if they have premarital sex. Ugh! He was probably just afraid that fooling around will mess up his hairdo. You know, as a side note, I never understood this vampire to human sex thing. I mean, I am a fan of True Blood, but Girl, they are cold. Okay, how do you go about... I mean, who wants a cold dick in their vajayjays? That's just nasty. I think Bella should have asked Jacob to do the job. I mean, you know Jacob would tap that in a heartbeat. He would be all upon it. All upon it like a horny werewolf. Anyway, as it turns out, Bella loves them both, so she must choose between them. On one hand you have the prude, glittery, dead guy, on the other hand the horny, shirtless wolf guy. Necrophilia, bestiality...
Decisions.
One thing I liked though was that in this one Bella seemed to have more individuality. She didn't really choose between Edward and Jacob in terms of who she loves most or who she's most attracted to, but in terms of what lifestyle she wants for herself. If she wants to be an immortal vampire but give up her family and all that shit, or if she wants to remain mortal with Jacob and, you know, have a normal life with school and family and friends. And I think it sends a good message to the girls who actually have to choose between two guys, that it shouldn't be all about the guy, it should be about you, what's best for you. Now I said that this is an improvement in the series, but that's because I'm basically comparing train wrecks here. No, this wasn't as bad as the others, but it's still a pointless, one-dimensional crap movie with no depth to it. I wouldn't recommend it unless you're like a fan of the books or a teenager at most. They did change the director, which was the best thing about the movie, because it does feel and look more professional and seriously made, but you can't expect miracles when you're working with scratch. Also, if you're a vampire movie fan, I would definitely stay away from it. These are no vampires, man. They are lame as glittery Tinkerbells. It's gross.